It's time for a new mayor. Kwame Brown.
If indeed.
Which ward do you live in?
I live in Ward 4. Councilman Mario Bowser is doing a great job, but we need a new mayor, please.
Kwame Brown, your father, full disclosure, he's a friend of mine, has been collecting names for a draft committee aimed at getting you to run against Adrian Fenty. What would it take for you to get in the race?
Well, first of all, I don't know about collecting names. I know that he has said people have approached him about it. Right now, I'm just trying to be the best at-large council member we could be.
We should find
really
guests if they give such.
That's a great suggestion.
I mean,
that'll be a $2 a pay for that.
And I think we should reward guests who say nobody has come up to me and approached me about running.
You're not running for mayor now because obviously you're doing your job. Would you like to be mayor perhaps someday? That's a yes or a no.
Well, I mean, I never count out anything.
Okay, there you go. That's a yes. Thank you.
No, but Tom gives these softball questions. You know, he's really deteriorated over the years. He used to be the premier reporter in this city. Let me ask the question that
I knew this was going to be good.
An old Tom Sherwood.
Tom on the right and Mark on the left. And Kojo in front of me. I know this was going to be.
Let me try to be the old Tom Sherwood.
Tag team.
Let me try to be the old Tom Sherwood. I have never ever experienced in my long, distinguished career seen the press person following the council member and carrying a camera. That means you're running for mayor, doesn't it? Or is he just some shutterbug? I mean, why don't you just come out and say you're running for mayor, you want to be the mayor?
Or at the very least, let Mark drag it out of you.
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate that Mark thinks that, but this is historic. We have Tom Sherwood and Mark Plotkin and Kojo in the same studio. Of course I want a picture. I don't know when this is going to happen again. So clearly I said, man, let's get a picture of this. I don't know what your accolades about running for mayor.
Does he accompany you?
Tom Sherwood, let's talk about the mayor's omnibus crime legislation, because when it went before the city council, there was a gang provision in it that was voted down 9-4. For those of you who are familiar with it, that provision would have allowed authorities to target alleged gang members in civil proceedings. A prosecutor could obtain an injunction barring an alleged gang member from engaging in a range of activities such as associating with other known gang members. Violating the order would have led to a criminal charge of contempt of court and, upon conviction, a jail term of up to 6 months. You voted against it, Kwame Brown. Why?
Well, I voted for the crime bill. We need to be tough on crime in the District of Columbia. And when you look at it, the gun offender
that'd be another
program, $2. The minimum sentence. Let's talk about the minimum sentence for repeat felony convictions, as well as a 3-year mandatory minimum for someone using a gun for a crime. I mean, those are huge as it relates to deterring crime in the District of Columbia. Now, the question is, the mayor proposed one thing, and the council gave him everything except one. And the question becomes, should the council just rubber stamp everything the mayor wants? I don't think that's what the residents of the District of Columbia wants. They want us to make prudent decisions, and that's what we plan to do.
Well, what would you here? The problem, according to the mayor and the other council members who are for this, is the gang problem in the city, and that the statistics show that 60% of the people who commit murders are gang-related, connected. 40% of the victims, gang-related, connected. Maybe they just canceled each other out. It would be great. We wouldn't have to worry about them. But what do you do, as Muriel Bowser in Ward 4 said, there are rights for people to stay on the street corner and talk to each other, not be harassed by the police. But there are also rights of her constituents to go outside their home, to go to the grocery or to go to church and not be shot. So if you don't like the gang injunction, what do you do? The mayor's going to have a press conference this afternoon because someone was shot at Columbia Heights, gang-related, we're told. What do you think, other than just long-term, better education, better recreation,
more
all those long-term things?
Well, there's a couple.
What do you do? Do you put more cops on the street?
Well, we supported more police officers on the street. But even if we passed that one piece that didn't get passed in terms of the gang legislation, that wouldn't have stopped the shooting that just took place yesterday. There was a shooting in Columbia Heights where a police officer was right there on the corner when the shooting took place.
So
right
civil injunctions wouldn't be effective.
So, I mean, clearly in Los Angeles and San Francisco, it's been proven that they have not been as successful as we want them to be. Let me
the mayors and the attorney general dispute that and say that the statistics do show in 20 years in California that it has had some effect, not panacea, but some effect.
Well, I don't agree with everything the mayor and attorney general said.
Well, I'm just saying there's a dispute about whether it's effective or not.
Well, that's a dispute, and I think creating a permanent criminal class is something that that the residents aren't particularly interested in. Also, Tom, let me say that if in fact we had some sort of legislation that would say, you know what, there are people that don't want to be in gangs. Why are people in gangs? They're in gangs because they say a sense of family. They say a sense of, some of them say they do it for the money. It seems to me that we should try to get those people trained so they can actually get a job and take care of their family. Most gang members don't want to be gang members. And if they had an opportunity and was presented something else that they could do positive with themselves, they would. And I think we need to spend more time on the front end as well as have consequences on the back end.
No short-term solution, then.
Well, there are those who say there's a big difference between a small crew in a neighborhood and an organized gang. And what we're trying to get at here are violent, organized gangs who are involved in all kinds of organized criminal activity, especially drug trafficking. These are extremely dangerous people. The fact that they happen to be young does not minimize the fact that they are very dangerous. And we've been saying for decades, look, more jobs, more education, it'll help. They're still out there.
Yeah, they're still out there. And I think that if there was a solution to get rid of gangs in any urban city, then, we wouldn't
Well,
have
just
this
get them off the
problem.
street during the summertime is what the emergency legislation seems to be saying. I'm reading a piece in the New York Times today that say in the summer in New York and as in D.C., the number of killings rises with the heat.
Well, it does. I mean, it's statistically proven every year it does. I think we need to be as tough as we can on crime. I think.
But what does that mean,
clearly,
though?
that's
What
why-
does tough as we can on crime
That's why
mean?
we're supportive of the detention piece of the legislation, ensuring that you can't steal a car, you can't commit a crime and be playing basketball the next day.
Let's
I
be
do
clear.
think things like
If
that
there were
need to be
gang shootings on Wisconsin Avenue or Connecticut Avenue or Upper Massachusetts Avenue, there would be a lot more enforcement on the streets to stop it, not just one officer maybe on the corner. And there would be a lot more interest if there were gangs roaming in Upper Ward 4 or Capitol Hill. There would be something that would be done to address the issue of gangs. I don't know that the mayor's legislation is correct, but it seems to me it's a gaping hole in what the council passed.
Toby, you can open Mark Plotkin's mic again.
Let me bring up something that hasn't been brought up, I think. What about the performance of the police chief? And what about the performance of the 7 commanders? Is this a personnel question? Are they doing their job? And if Kwame Brown were mayor, would he retain this present police chief?
Well, I haven't thought about Kwame Brown being mayor, but let me say that
Two more dollars.
let me say that I think all the men and women that are out there working every single day on the police force.
Well, that's
are
wonderful,
doing the
Kwame.
best
What
that-
about
best
the
that they
police
can do.
chief? What about the police chief?
I think she's making strides. I think she's making strides and trying to put a dent into crime.
And
There's
in
no
terms
question
of-
about it.
we're running out of
And
time.
the letter that she had sent to the council in terms of things that she wanted to do to combat crime, 95% of it, the council actually passed to give her the authority to do so.
We're running out of time very quickly. We talked about your reaction to not being invited to the press conference, but what do you think about the mayor's choice of Valerie Santos to be the deputy mayor for economic development? That's probably the person in his administration you'll have to work most closely with.
I think Valerie Santos Young, she's been around. She clearly understands what has been. She was the COO in the deputy mayor's office before she got promoted. I think she's a good choice that the mayor has selected, and we want to make sure we give her all the tools she needs to
Have
be
you
successful.
spoken to her?
Yes,
Have you had your hearing yet?
No, but I've had.
Will you
every-
vote for her confirmation?
Yes.
How many
yeah,
times have you
support her.
talked to her?
I've probably talked to her about 3 times.
Okay,
3 times.
That's 3 times more than you've talked to the mayor.
Kwame
right?
Brown is an at-large member of the D.C. City Council. He's a Democrat. He chairs the council's Economic Development Committee. Kwame, thank you very much for joining
Let us know when the announcement is, okay? All right,
I'm
we'll
gonna
be
send
there.
you the picture.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you the picture.